Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colony Government Channel.
Hi, I'm Supervisor Paula Mahan, and welcome to Colony Connect. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to special guests. We have Mark Eagan, the new President and CEO of the Albany-Colonie Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
And Felton McLaughlin, the Chair of the Colony Business Council for 2008 and 2009.
Yep.
Welcome, Felton. It's nice to have
Glad
you both here.
It's great to be here.
We spent a little time together not too long ago at the State of the Town.
You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, thank you. And we did show it on Colony Connect, so a lot of viewers were able to see the entire presentation. So thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to start off with a question for you, Mark. You recently took over for Lynn Taylor,
Yes.
the former president of the Chamber. As you are a new face on Colony Connect, can you tell us a little about yourself and how you came to the Chamber, and describe to our viewers what the Chamber does?
Sure. First of all, if people don't detect it in the next half hour together, some accent here or there. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I was born and raised there in between Boston and Providence. And that's actually where I got started in chamber work. This July, it's hard to believe as years go by, but this July will be 22 years ago that I started in chamber work.
You look too young.
Thank you. And I started actually in my hometown, then I moved to another area in Massachusetts, and then the last 10 and a half years I led the chamber in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
Last spring I got a call. The chamber, as Lynn announced her retirement, had retained an executive search firm. I got a call from them back last spring, and they began to describe the organization, really describe the community. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned about being from the Northeast, I always thought in my heart it'd be great to get back closer to home. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I knew that so many cities and so many regions in the Northeast really were on almost a slow, steady decline, and I really wasn't interested in that. But as I began to know about this area, and knew the stability that we had from government jobs and from healthcare and from higher ed, we'd never really had the decline, but more importantly, some of the focus in the technology sector, we really had a real strong potential. Mm-hmm. And that's really what excited me about coming here. And it's been 4 months now, it's been a terrific transition, and I'm real happy to be here. From your follow-up question about the chamber, I've joked about it before, and I said, if you had a room full of 100 people, and you said to people, if you ever heard of the chamber before, raise your hand, almost every hand would go up. But then if you said, tell me what a chamber does, mm-hmm. you wouldn't see quite as many of those hands. And I guess I'd say it's twofold. We're a membership organization. We're a nonprofit organization. Our members are the local business community. But our goal is really twofold. It's not just for businesses to be successful, mm-hmm. but really it's for the community to be successful, because we're really all in it together. A community can't survive or thrive without job opportunities, and those come from business. And a business can't be successful unless it operates in a good community with good quality of life in schools and a good workforce. Mm-hmm. So that's really how the chamber is really the organization that in many cases brings those two elements together.
Very good. Well, you've identified some really important points when you talked about what attracted you to this area, because it's very common response that we get from many different populations that move into the town. This area is so unique because it has so much. It's a very large town. We have so much opportunity for business, and we have a great population to support business.
We do.
And we have great school districts within the town of Colony, and surrounding us we have some great colleges and universities, and we certainly want to attract our residents that when they grow up and they go off to college, we love to be able to offer them opportunities in the area so they stay in the area. And we have a lot of opportunities, and we are becoming more progressive in the area, gaining more, especially in the field of technology.
Right.
we're becoming a bright spot and attractive to a lot of companies. And I see that growing more and more because we do get a lot of calls in the town, and they have to do with companies that pertain to technology.
Well, on to, as we talked about earlier, about the chamber and the community and really how we come together. I remember a colleague of mine a couple of years ago talked sort of about in his community their definition of economic development, and when I heard it, I thought, really, what an appropriate one, because oftentimes when you hear economic development, people can't relate. What does that mean, and how is it good for me, or what they said their vision of economic development was that their town was going to have jobs that met the educational aspirations of their children. So if you have a child and they're going to have go to a vocational high school or get a technical degree, there's a job for them. But if they're also going to be a scientist and have a PhD, that there's a job for them. And I think the effort that's been made in recent years to further diversify our economy and to really have jobs at all those skill levels, it really helps us be that community that can thrive in the long term and be competitive. And that if our children go away to college somewhere else, but all of a sudden they're 28 or they're 32 and they want to come back home, that we have opportunity for them. And I think we have more opportunity today than we've ever had in the past.
Yes, I do, and when we look, I feel the same way. And when we look across the entire nation, we are a community that's doing quite well when we think of economic development. I know in my first year as supervisor, I've spent a lot of time on planning and economic development in the town, and I learned an awful lot from our planning and economic developer, Joe LaCivita. And there's so many parts that fit into it, and so many things that overlap and integrate. And as you say, one of the things the Chamber is really well recognized for is pulling all those parts together and making things work and grow and become more and more progressive and more opportunities and for people that are in this area. So I think we have a great location. We're in the middle of 3 cities. We have access to so many different places, and anywhere from 5, 10, 15 minutes to a half an hour. And we have a lot of other things that go along with that. So that's helping us a lot. It's helping us a lot in these hard times.
Right.
And certainly the Chamber has been very helpful. And I've been able to meet a lot of different people. I get called out for ribbon cuttings and things like that. So
we try to keep you busy.
I'm busy. I get to see a lot of new businesses, and I go home and I tell my husband all about them. So
there you go. Good.
It's fun. And Felton, as chair of the Colony Business Council, can you let our viewers know how you got involved with the Chamber and then chair their business council?
Sure. Let me backtrack a little bit further than that, because I was listening to Mark talk about what brought him to the Capital Region. I'm somewhat of a recent transplant myself. I moved here 6 years ago from Westchester County, and all the same things that Mark mentioned were what made me think, my father had lived here for 30 years, since I was in high school, but I had personally never lived here. And over the years, have been pitching me on the wonders of the Capital Region, quality of life, all that. It wasn't until the kids came along and I had an hour-long commute into Manhattan and wasn't seeing the kids that I started thinking, well, maybe I should look again. And when you really look under the covers, there's a lot that's attractive about this place. So
definitely,
quality of life has been a great uptick. And but how did that lead me to the Colony Business Council? I'm in the commercial real estate business, and I do a lot of my business in the town of Colony. So I just sort of gravitated. When you become active in the Chamber, you try to figure out what groups are going to be the ones that you have the most in common with, and Colony Business Council was one of them. And I just got more and more interested in the sorts of programming we were doing. We put on mostly lunches, but breakfasts every now and then, like your State of the Town address, where we try to put together speakers, panelists, business people in the town to talk about either their business and how is that pertinent to everyone in our group, because it's attorneys, it's bankers, it's
Right.
small business owners, it's the whole panoply of people doing business in the town. And we also try to combine that with municipal issues that are going to affect the town. Joe LaCivita has been a guest of ours in the past. Infrastructure issues like the rebuilding of Exit 6 on the Northway. The airport, we had a sort of a field trip to the airport last year, and this actually next month we're going to be doing a field trip to the Times Union headquarters to get a look at the printing plant, as well as sit in on an editorial meeting, which I think a lot of folks, business people, like to see that sort of thing.
Yes. Well,
So,
I was going to ask you about the airport and about the Times Union building, and I think that it already sounds like you're doing your homework. You've got everything in order, so that's great. Those are two major facilities that we're very fortunate to have in the town, the airport and the Times Union building. But there, as you say, when you talk about infrastructure and all of the things that you talked about, the people that you meet, whether it's attorneys or business people or real estate agents, or when we get into infrastructure like with the Exit 6. I mean, it's already started, and it's going to be huge as we go through the next couple of years. And it just involves so many people, so many jobs, really a lot of patience from our community, but the end result should be much better flow of traffic for our area. But there's so many different things that, as I've said, that interact with each other, and things that I really didn't think that much about before I became supervisor. As an educator, I really never thought a lot about the roads or the bridges or the water lines and things like that. When you go shopping or you're looking at new homes or whatever, you're looking at the beauty of the home, but you forget about everything else that goes into that. And all that goes into it has to do with all types of businesses and opportunities and jobs. So you probably hear about a lot of the things that I hear about, and as I said, I've learned a tremendous amount about what it takes to keep a big town like this operating, and how many different entities come into play and interact with each other. As far as real estate, I guess both of you, when you talk about real estate, commercial real estate, the economy, it's been such a hot topic for quite a while. Our country's in tough shape, and we're trying to find our way, back to some stability. And the economy has been affected tremendously. I feel in this area that we're almost, in the town of Colonie, we seem to be a little insulated. We still have a lot of jobs, a lot of people working. We've been able to get through our situation in the town without layoffs at this point, which was really very important to us. We wanted to keep people working, keep people living in the town, keep people, shopping at our local businesses and things. So, what do you see from our area as far as the economy and the downturn? What kind of effects are you seeing from your side?
Do you want me to start?
You can.
Well, you started to allude to a little bit in your comments, Paula. I think we've been pretty fortunate. We're starting to feel it more in the last 3 or 4 months. I think a lot of the nation really felt it a lot steady in 2008. And really with us, I think it was really the last quarter.
Okay.
And I think, we've obviously have seen some of the articles in the paper and some companies doing some downsizing. And our unemployment rate has gone up about a percentage from last year. But if you look at all of the metro areas in New York State, the Albany metro area has the lowest unemployment of any in the state. So, I think to that point, the current situation isn't as robust as we want it to be. And I think right now, even some companies are still doing okay, but they're concerned. So I think companies that maybe were going to add staff, they were going to make a purchase of new equipment, they're putting all those things on hold, to really see how can they ride the storm. And I think that's again to our earlier comments, how we're really all in this together. That, if companies look and how do we ride the storm, they look and say, well, one of their biggest expenses is their staff, but also their greatest resource is their staff.
Yeah.
So they really want to hold on to them as much as possible, because that staff is going to be key to helping them, ride out this recession.
Right.
So we're all, and Felton can speak to it better than I, but the real estate market, from the residential side, and again, I'll turn it to Felton for the commercial side, has slowed down, but it hasn't come to a halt.
That's what I'm seeing in the town. What I'm seeing is, prior to the negative economy news that we've been getting, a house would stay on the market. It would be there a day, and there would actually be bidding wars. At least that's how it is in everything that I've seen in our area. Now it seems like it's anywhere from maybe 3 to 6 months.
I think 6 months is about an average.
6 months about average now. I still see homes being sold, but it's just taking longer. So you're seeing the same thing.
Right.
How about you, Felton? What are you seeing?
Well, if I can get a little plug in for the Colony Business Council, we actually had 3 of the biggest realtors in the region at our breakfast Tuesday morning to talk about that same topic. At that point in time, I was actually in Washington for the National Association of Realtors annual get-together. And I can tell you from everything I heard, and this was talking to people from California to Florida to you name it, people here don't realize how great we have it. We've seen the volume of transactions fall, but the median price is still sort of flatlining. I ran into a lot of folks down there that we're seeing 20, 25, 30% declines in median sale prices.
Yes.
So we've got it very good right here, and it's too bad that people read the headlines and think, oh, everything is, the sky is falling. We've got a pretty good resilient economy here. It's we never really boom when the rest of the country booms, but we don't crash when the rest of the country crashes.
Right. We seem to be more stable, than most places, and we've had gradual increases. We haven't had those, as you say, those big booms with the prices really going sky high. We've had gradual increases, and I read the paper every day and watch the news, and I see what's going on everywhere. And I am very thankful, because I do feel that as long as we can keep people working and keep the anxiety levels down. I do hear more and more people cutting back a little on this and a little on that, but it's small compared to what the rest of the areas are feeling, I think. And we have, just in the Capital District area, between government positions and we have a lot of universities and colleges and a lot of jobs in that respect, and we're getting, we still, even in this bad economy, we're attracting technology and things like that. So I agree, that we're in a better position than most places, and I think we have to stay on that path and hope we remain stable, even though it may take a little longer for things. We're still okay, and I think that's good. So we keep working on things from our perspective, from the town. We want to do what's best for the entire populations, all populations in the town, and we look at attracting larger businesses. So in areas, especially where we can have some type of redevelopment in areas that are abandoned or underutilized, it seems to make more sense to try to redevelop those areas where there's already some infrastructure, rather than taking up more open space, whatever. So we're trying to do that, and we've been successful in some areas there. Our new homes seem to be, within a certain range, again, as they're still selling, and we're also very conscious of the fact that our smaller businesses are very, very important to our town as well. Many of them, local. They live here. They're kids are educated here. They have so many ties to the area, so they're very important to us as well. We, as you know, are forming a small business advisory council. It's made up of business owners so that we can get some feedback from small businesses. What can we do better, or what are we doing that's working well? What are some other things that we can do, not only with our through this council, but also with the chamber? What else can we do to collaborate more so that our residents benefit from that? And things like that. So we're trying to be progressive and do things that we can do in these times of difficulty. There's still an awful lot to be done. We can be creative. We can work on things that maybe we didn't have an opportunity to do before, that in the end, our residents, our taxpayers, visitors to our town, they end up reaping the benefits of that. So that's one of the new things that we're doing, and we should be shortly, getting the group together. We have a lot of people that volunteered, and we talked a little bit about it
Right.
at the chamber breakfast, and we got a lot of volunteers there as well. But there are a lot of things in this town that really, it's amazing how, I've been here for 35 years, and we've raised our sons here. They still live in the area, and we just really love it here. My husband was here his entire life, so we have a lot invested in the area. It is a beautiful area, but it just amazes me that it's such a large town with such a huge population, yet we still have in many ways that hometown feeling.
Right.
And I think that's what's really another very attractive feature of the town. And certainly all the work that you both do help us to keep that feeling. We had a special fundraiser last weekend. I don't know if you got to read about it or hear anything about it. It was for the Mohawk Hudson Humane Society.
Yes.
And they had an unfortunate situation, and so we tried to help out. And it was absolutely amazing in these times with the economy and people sometimes being down. We had nonstop from 9 to 12. The cars were lined up, and people were waiting in line all up and down Albany-Shaker Road. And as they were coming in after waiting 15 or 20 minutes, they were just as happy as could be, and just so thankful that the community got together to help out the society. And each person, as they drove their car up, and we had a lot of volunteers, including a lot of students, so that we could take what they brought right from the car and they could drive on. They just made this huge community look like just such a hometown, small hometown area that everybody could just get together and help out in whatever way they could. And it was absolutely beautiful just to see just the goodness and the heart that people put into this one little project to help out and come together. And that's what kind of community we are. And all of the work that you do and bringing people together for different events, whether it's a breakfast or a special bringing in a guest for special lecture, whatever, it all adds to the quality of life that we have here.
Right, and as Felt mentioned earlier about when he moved here or when we moved here, part of why it's when a person comes here, they usually stay, is people make them feel welcome.
Exactly.
And you talked about how people get involved, and they, I learned just like when you had talked about when you were in education and the pieces you weren't as aware of, but when I started getting involved in chamber work, it was sort of an eye-opening experience for me as well. So often I think we think that things just happen, and they don't just
Right.
happen. It's people that make it happen,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people who do it, behind the scenes. And I commend you and your short tenure, what you have done to try to relook and to rethink and what role government can play or should play.
Thank you.
Because as you look at the role that the chamber plays, not to just help advance business, but to help advance our community,
Mm-hmm.
the role that you and local government play is essential. Because government doesn't create jobs, but government can help create an environment that fosters job creation. And you either can make it easy or you can create impediments. And I think that the more we can do to make it be a place where we embrace investment, because ultimately it's going to help all of our residents thrive, that's again how we're in it together. And I think even as we're going through maybe more challenging economic times, I'd encourage all of our local residents to remain optimistic and to be real ambassadors for not just Colonie, but really for our region.
Right.
Because our competitors are not Troy or Albany or Saratoga. We really compete around the nation, around the globe. And as we're looking out trying to sell people in our community, we can't sell it well if the people who live and work here don't believe in it.
Right.
So it's real important what we think, what we say, what we do, because that has a real strong ripple effect.
Yes, and I think you bring up a good point too. Is things are it's different today. When I first started in education, students really, this is what I want to be when I grow up. There weren't as many choices. Things weren't as global.
Right.
It was, in some ways, it was easier to make decisions. And now it's much more involved, but there's much more opportunity. And being able to work with people and interact with different agencies also helps to educate us, all of us in government, as to what we can offer when we do get an opportunity to talk to the kids and talk about the future and talk about what the opportunities are. And that's, so every interaction to me is a learning experience. Right. And I really and truly enjoy that part of it, and I appreciate it when people can take the time and teach me something new, because I love to learn. But as I say, there are so many opportunities, and we talked about this at the breakfast in the state of the town. Really, we are at times faced with a lot of challenges, but if we look at them as opportunities and with a positive outlook, we're going to gain so much more, and it's so much more enjoyable. And so that's pretty much where we are at this point. Before we close, is there anything else that either one of you would like to add before we end the show? Because I know we've kind of moved through things quickly.
Well, first, I guess I'll turn to Felton and just say that, we're blessed to have his leadership and all the other people. The chamber has more than 2,500 businesses, and they employ more than 150,000 of our local residents. And I'm fortunate every day to work on their behalf, but Felton and the other business people are really what the chamber's all about, and want to thank him. And I guess I'll turn it to you if you have any last words you might want to share.
Well, thanks. I've seen changes take place, and this is just from my own little blinders on perspective from the real estate world. But you talk about turning a challenge to an opportunity. It used to take forever to get new developments approved through the planning process. Yes. And your idea to hire outside engineering consultants to speed the process up, hey, great idea. Love seeing stuff like that. Please keep the taxes low.
Trying very, very
That's
hard to do that.
That's what all employers look at when they're evaluating, do I go to Colonie, do I go to Saratoga County? That is a big determinant in site location for employers.
Yes, and our tax situation here, it's no secret we've had a very difficult time financially, but I really do feel confident we've made some very tough decisions that really had to be made within a time frame so that basically we didn't go under. And we made those tough decisions, and the community has been, for the most part, most people were happy with the route we went. They would rather see that than long-term very high tax increases that we didn't need. What we needed was to find a way to stabilize and to keep from going under. And I think we did do that. I'm confident we're on the right path. This time next year, I think we're going to be in much better shape. Our plan is long-term. to improve our financial situation. But the priority was to stabilize, and we needed to do that before 2009 started. That's what we had to do. We had to work on stabilizing our situation, and we put a tremendous amount of effort into it to have the least amount of impact on our residents, our taxpayers, and residents and businesses as well. And it was a difficult time, but I think by doing that, we've preserved the kind of tax base that we have, the kind of tax rate that we have. I think we're helping to secure that for the future so that we can have low taxes, good services, keep our people working, the kind of quality of life that we're used to living. And so this was a key year. It was extremely difficult, but I'm confident we're on the road to recovery, and it's just going to get better and better as we go on. So
we're counting on it.
Our one-time tax was definitely one time, and I made it very clear that it needed to be written up that way in our resolution, in our budget, everywhere, so that no way can that be manipulated. But we're on the right track, and we've got some other things that will help us hopefully through the year as well. And again, we've done this keeping everybody working, and which keeps people in their homes and keeps people out there in the business community. So all in all, we're on the right track. And as far as the outside engineers, the town designated engineers, we were able to do that. We were able to do that and still keep our entire staff in planning and engineering and DPW, all those departments that are involved. And you're exactly right. We were going down a path where we were going to deter developers from coming to Colony. And so we had to turn that around. And we did that, and we did that at no cost to the taxpayers. So that's another positive. And so far things are going well. We've actually, they're already assigned to some major projects, and it's moving through the system quite well. And so we're hoping, again, that that's going to be for the future. That's going to be another big improvement. So thank you for bringing up those 2 points.
Sure.
And I'm going to work really, really hard on keeping your taxes low. I promise. So,
Great.
But thank you, Mark. Thank you, Felton. I really appreciate you both being here today. And thank you for tuning in to Colony Connect.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colony Government Channel.